I don't, but I don't have any. But I don't have any. Where are we? We're in London, and it's May 2017. We're standing outside Birkbeck University, and the title of the conference being held today is Dystopia Now. The conference asks some general questions. In an era of global turbulence, what pertinence do fictional dystopias have? Is dystopia a key genre for our time? I don't attend the conference, but I've seen it advertised in various places. I think about dystopian objects. I imagine an exhibition called Dystopia Now accompanying the conference and displaying objects emblematic of the dystopian now. Signatures of our combined ruin. What would be included? An orange blonde hamster hairpiece, perhaps. A bleeping smartphone, a bus saying leave, a big red button, a shredded declaration, a detention centre, a deportation vehicle, a burnt-out building. We could go on. Hope the noun, we don't have any. Hope the verb, we don't do any. We do blame more than hope. What is hope when democracy is dismantled and data wars rage in the spaces we don't think are real, while the spaces we think are real are entirely controlled by those waging those very data wars? Zealots blame the post-structuralists. The post-structuralists blame the capitalists. The capitalists declare that the economy is healthy. Nobody blames themselves. Hope? At best, hope for least worst. At best, hope for not. Shore up, button down, close eyes, turn away, switch off, power down, ingest, consume, purchase, forget. At best, hope or not. Zoom backwards. Where are we now? We're in Paris, and the year is 1971. Every utterance makes a world. Jean-Francois Lyotard, one of the blamed post-structuralists, takes the aesthetic modernist critique of transparent and realistic representation and shows us that there is indeed a world in a word. The sign is thick, he says. Words are not just signs. This makes me think. The fictionalization of reality and the realization of fiction are precisely what the spatio-temporal zooming around of science fiction, and now the dystopian present, are showing us. Hang on a minute. You're telling me that fiction is real and reality is fiction? That's right, that's what I'm telling you. Dystopia now. Signatures of our combined ruin. Let's collect some more. Zoom forward. Where are we now? We're outside Archway Underground Station, London, December 2015. Another signature. A notice board outside the tube entrance which declares, when something goes wrong in your life, just yell, plot twist, and move on. Another signature. So we do move on. Where do we move on to? Move on to New York. It's now December 2016. We're standing outside a bookstore. Another signature. A sign outside the bookstore declares, post-apocalyptic fiction has been moved to our current affairs section. A joke! A signature, fictioning reality. So, fiction is real and reality is fiction, and we're at the bad end of the bookshelf. And yet, the bad end presupposes the existence of the good end. Signatures of our collective hope. We have to look for it in the same place, from dystopia to utopia. The spatio-temporal zooming around of science fiction and fiction science. Projected spatio-temporal coordinates will save us. Utopia now. Who creates utopia now? The dreamer projected as realist. A world reworlded. Zoom backwards. Quite a long way this time. Where are we now? We're back in London, and it's the year 1516. We're reading Latin. We're reading Thomas More's vision of a fictional island society. The dreamer projected as realist. Thomas More did science fiction early. We don't agree with everything this dreamer projected, but we love the enthusiasm and the sheer audacity to dream. We all want to leap naked in fountains, don't we? Science fiction now, utopia as the not place that we dare to think. But we said spatio-temporal. What about the not time? Extend utopia to Uchronia. Uchronia now, speculate. To speculate requires hope. Hoping as worlding and reworlding. Fictioning as mythopoesis. Zoom forwards. Where are we now? We're in Santa Cruz, California, and the year is 2016. SF, science fiction, speculative fabulation. Notice the wordplay. SF, science fiction, speculative fabulation will save us. Donna Haraway remakes the world as terrapolis populated by vermin, critters, and stream figures. Multi-species alliance. Haraway says, recuperation is still possible, but only in the multi-species alliance across the killing divisions of nature, culture, and technology, of organism, language, and machine. The feminist cyborg taught me that. Uchronia and utopia, the dreamer projected as realist. Zoom back 1 year. Where are we now? We're in Bamako, Mali. It's June 2015. A collaborative project of sound and image, an exhibition called Uchronia, the unequivocal interpretation of reality. To hope is to speculate. A question posed, both speculative and political. What would have happened if it had been a Malian emperor rather than Christopher Columbus who had discovered America? Even asking this question dislodges the signatures of our combined ruin. To hope is to make and remake the world. Afrofuturism makes utopia and Uchronia now. To hope is to reimagine futures past. So let's go back to another future past, another audacious individual who hoped to remake the world. Where are we now? We're in Oakland, the east side of San Francisco Bay, and the year is 1974. The satellites are spinning, a new day is dawning. The galaxies are waiting for planet Earth's awakening. Who are those words? Those are the words of Sun Ra, jazz genius, space traveller, Afrofuturist and world creator, the dreamer projected as realist. So, we must try to render it here. How? Speculate, shore up knowledge, look forwards back. Back to what? To the what we know. Hope was a goddess called Elpis, Pandora's jar, the one left inside, the good one left inside, lid shut. What else? The steadfast anchor. Tied to what? Tied to rock in shifting seabed monster. Try again. Sedimented between faith and desire. Sludgy bedfellows, slippery rope. A wet knot is stronger. A wet dust is sludge. A sand is sharp. Clutch and clench. Clench is down and screw is up. Keen is forward. Keen is lean. Are we converging or diverging? Can we hope back, or is that nostalgia? Do both. Hope forwards, back. Off we go again. Where are we now? We're in New Cross, South East London, 1998. More brilliant than the sun. Codwo Eshun and more heteronymic play. Eshun welcomes us to the reworded, reworlded, future rhythmic discontinuum. Acid house, future with a PH. Sound and shape affects worlding through a synthesis of elements. The signature of the name splinters into its material fragments. Eshun says, PH is to sound as silver is to vision. PH is the silver prefix, the word concentrate. The dreamers projected as realists. What do they all say? They say you can. Something from nothing. Something from nothing. Worlding is hoping and every utterance makes a world. If post-apocalyptic fiction has been moved to the current affairs section, then we must inject the bookshelves with reworked definitions. Spawn new subgenres. Fiction as worlding. Politically valent, reimagined futures and pasts. Alternative spaces for those denied their place in the places that already exist. Fragments shored. T.S. Eliot, I will raise you your fear in a handful of dust and give you Ursula Le Guin. Where are we? Portland, Oregon, 1989. Le Guin tells us something. She says, to make a world you start with an old one, certainly. To find a world, maybe you have to have lost one. Maybe you have to be lost. The dance of renewal, the dance that made the world, was always danced here at the edge of things, on the brink, on the foggy coast. So where are we now? We're doing as Le Guin says, we're dancing on the edge of things, on the foggy coast. Dancing in the sludge, clutching our slippery anchor. And what's at the end of the anchor? We're not quite sure. Is it philosophy? Is Immanuel Kant our anchor? Zoom backwards, try to ground ourselves. Where are we now? Königsberg, Prussia, 1781. Kant tells us in the Critique of Pure Reason, to hope is to be irrational. But he also tells us that hope is not irrational as long as its object cannot be proven to be impossible. So, for what may I hope? Kant's answer is threefold. Three primary objects of hope. One, for one's own happiness. Okay. Two, for one's own moral progress. Three, for the moral improvement of the human race as a whole. Fragments shored, I will show you fear in a blonde hamster hairpiece. Moral progress, don't make me laugh. So, for what may I hope? At best still hope for not. At best hope to stand against the tide. What are we doing on the foggy coast as we stand against the tide? We are building a sandcastle. Sandcastles are irrational. We build them anyway. Zoom forwards. Where are we now? Senate House Library, London, November 2017. Ali Smith's tumbling wonderland of words and worlds. She feeds us fragments to shore us against the ruins of some of the many divisive recent words of Theresa May, who told us last year that if we believe we're a citizen of the world, then we're a citizen of nowhere. If ever there were words to stamp on the sandcastle of collective hope, those are they. However, Smith tells us all, if you're a citizen of the imagination, then you're a citizen of everywhere. So we're building a sandcastle. Sandcastles are irrational. We build them anyway. I'm struck by a memory from earlier this year. I'm building a sandcastle next to the Scottish Sea with my cousin's kids. The tide is out and the sea is flat. The hopes are so bright and the sun is so high, it hurts. We dare to dig a moat that threatens all to tumble down, as if tumbling were a thing to be avoided. We dare to shape great turrets that threaten all to topple, as if toppling were a thing to be avoided. We dare to scale a roof so high it could all fall down, as if falling were a thing to be avoided. We use sand made of shelled glass, dust, filigree so complex it hurts to look too closely, as if hurting were a thing to be avoided. To hope is to hurt. We gather, we muster our hope. We gather, we bundle, we tie knots of hope. A rope of hope tied tight in a knot underwater. A ball. A circle, encircling, enshrining. We know not from whence it comes. A ball of rubber bands stretched tight and heavy. Screw it up further. Make a path with shells, fragments shored against your ruin. Count stones. Read Samuel Beckett. When you write that something can come from nothing, but you don't know what that something actually is. When you look at a piece of abstract art, capital A, and you know that you feel something, capital F, capital S. When you bend towards, tend towards something. When you utter something purely to fill the nothing. Is it of the same stuff when it's hoping for not, hoping for nothing, hoping for absence? All this stuff and still we have it. Oil slick world and still we have it. Plastic choked world and still we have it. At best we hope for not. At best we hope for little. Just a little. At best we hope for least worst. Hope sandwiched between faith and desire, they are all a kind of breathing in. The prickling on the back of the neck when the breathing in is accompanied by a thought of something that moves you and keeps you going. Inspiration. Not just the lofty men in ivory towers consumed by the thought of divine or unreachable muses. Inspiration keeps us alive. To inspire, to be inspired, we have to breathe in. We have to keep going, so that's what we are all doing. We're all breathing in because it's the only thing that's left to do.